This is an aptitude-based question. The police has arrested 4 criminals, or we can say suspects, P, Q, R, and S. They all knew each other and they made the following statements. We have to assume that there is only one criminal and only one of these statements made above is true, which means at a time only one of them will speak the truth and all the other 3 will not speak the truth. So we will take contradiction of the statements which they have made. So we need to identify who has committed the crime, means who is the actual criminal. So for this, let us first assume that what P is saying is true and all others are not speaking the truth. So we shall take contradiction of the statements made by these 3. So let us see what P is saying. Q committed the crime. So for the time being, we will assume that Q is the criminal. And now let us see if other 3 statements support this claim or not. We shall take the negation of all the 3 statements because they are not speaking the truth as per our assumption. Q is saying S committed the crime. Its negation would be S has not committed the crime. So yes, that supports our claim. R says I did not do it. Its negation, I did it. So now we got 2 criminals, both Q and R, but there cannot be 2 criminals. We got a contradiction over here, which means P is not speaking the truth. Our assumption is false in this case. So now we shall go at Q and we'll assume this time that Q is speaking the truth and the other 3 are not speaking the truth. So we shall take negation of other 3 statements now. Q is saying that S committed the crime. So now we shall assume that S is the criminal and we shall see that other statements are supporting it or not. P says Q committed the crime. Negation, Q has not committed the crime. Yes, that supports our claim. R says I did not do it. Again its negation becomes I did it. So now we got again 2 criminals, R and S. But there cannot be 2. So our assumption failed over here again due to R. So even Q is not speaking the truth. Now we shall come to R and assume that R is speaking the truth, others are not. So R says I did not do it, which means this time we will assume that R is not the criminal, so that he speaks the truth this time. We assume this statement to be correct. R is not the criminal. Okay, now let us see if others are supporting it. All others have to be speaking false this time, so we shall take the negation. Q committed the crime. So we shall assume Q did not commit the crime. S committed the crime. Again we shall falsify it. S did not commit the crime. What Q said about me is false. Again this has to be incorrect. We shall take the negation. So that means what Q said about me is true, but what Q had said, S committed the crime. So here we got that none of them is a criminal. So again this claim would not be true and we shall go for the final case in which what S says will be the truth. So it is saying what Q said about me is false. What Q had said that S committed the crime. This has to be false, means S did not commit the crime. And others, P and R, have to be saying false statements. So let us see Q committed the crime. Negation will be Q did not commit the crime. So yes, that satisfies this. R says I did not do it. Its negation will be I did it. So this claim is trying to say that R has committed the crime and what we are assumed that S has not committed the crime. So yes, these two can go along and we can come to a conclusion that R has to be the actual criminal for this case. So what S is saying is true and based upon that we come to the conclusion that R is the actual criminal. So the correct answer is option B.